The reason why veterinarians and animal behaviorists and well-educated dog trainers don't suggest using prong collars or choke chains is because what they actually teach is for the dog to avoid the discomfort created by those tools, and walking well on leash is only a symptom of that. So you're not actually teaching the dog to walk on leash, you're teaching your dog how to avoid the discomfort of those tools. When you use positive reinforcement, the treats are weaned out fairly quickly if you're being consistent enough, which means a lot of treats at first. But the point of positive reinforcement dog training is that with leash training is that you're teaching your dog how to not just walk on leash. The leash is kind of just a bonus. It's just there to protect them. When you start teaching your dog to walk on leash, you're not even using a leash. So I shouldn't really say walk on leash. It's really just teaching your dog how to walk at your pace and pay attention to you in any circumstance. And we do that by using something that they want to do, so that they want to pay attention to us, not so they're forced to pay attention to us. Otherwise, they'll feel some sort of discomfort. It doesn't have to be painful. It just has to be something that they don't like. So that's why when a lot of people I work with say, we've used a prong collar and that's the only way that the dog won't pull on the leash, it's because not pulling on a leash is a symptom of avoiding the discomfort of the prong collar. They've never been actually trained to walk properly with you, alongside of you, without going faster than you, without going slower than you. That is why a lot of people will say harnesses make a dog pull. You've never trained a dog to walk in the first place. So if you go from a prong collar and then put a harness on and see how they are, they're probably going to go back to what they were doing before the prong collar, because they are smart enough to know that they don't have a prong collar on. Unfortunately, a lot of these trainers who are using prong collars and advertising for them don't actually give dogs the credit for how smart they actually are. Teach your dog how to actually walk with you with using lots of treats, starting inside the house. You can start in the backyard. As long as you have treats with you, your dog's probably going to be glued to you. And that's the point. And we wean those out. Remember, there's no weaning with aversive methods. If you walk your dog on a prong collar, you're probably going to have to do that until they get so old that they can't walk as fast and you don't have to worry about pulling. Also, I wanted to note that with positive reinforcement training, there's always room for improvement and change in your training. If you want to add something, if you want to take something out. And I want to remind people that that's not a thing in aversive training. There's a huge limit with aversive training where you can't go past the tools that you're given. Whereas positive reinforcement, you have so much room to be creative and do stuff that even other people haven't thought of yet. I have a lot of people don't feel as patient on walks and they don't want to stop every 2 seconds to work with their dog, which is something that you have to work on, not your dog. If you are impatient about that, that's a you problem. That's going to affect your training if you're not willing to do those things. It can help to take your dog on free walks where they can sniff around. You don't really work on training unless it's extremely necessary for them to be focused on you. And you start inside the house. So while you're practicing walking inside the house, you don't have a destination to go to. I don't recommend that anyone has a destination to go to when they're walking their dog, because there's too many variables. If you're starting inside the house, it can be a little less frustrating at first, because you don't have to get from point A to point B. You're just working in one spot. Also, I think people forget this. We train dogs not to pull primarily for their safety, not for our comfort. So it's not because we want a smooth walk where we're not getting dragged everywhere. It's for their safety, so that they don't get injured by whatever collar or harness that they're wearing that you're using to walk them with, or by getting overstimulated by another dog and pulling towards them, or having another dog jump out at them and get into a fight or anything like that. I think too many people are worried about just everything going so according to plan for them, but not really focusing on, this is an animal that's in a completely different environment now. They don't innately understand all of the things that come with human society, and that's where we are not there to teach them exactly what comes with that, but how to stay safe in that type of environment. I hope that makes sense.